Hi, I'm Tim Collins, professional pitcher, and this is my off-season strength and conditioning coach, Eric Cressy. And today we're going to be taking you guys through some of the med ball workouts that we like to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Eric, and he's going to introduce you to a couple of the workouts that we do.
Medicine ball training is an awesome addition to your strength and conditioning program because what it really allows us to do is it allows us to train power just like when we jump or when we sprint. But in reality, it allows us to train power in a way that's probably more specific to rotational sports like baseball or tennis or hockey or whatever sports you're involved in. So it allows us to really create a lot of force quickly. So that's how we develop power. Things that we go through with our rotational med ball drills, there's kind of two variations. The first one is scoop toss variations. I like those to maybe a little bit easier on the elbow. We also do shot put variations, which are a bit easier for you to really muscle up and throw the ball hard. So Tim's going to take you through a couple variations. The things I want to emphasize before we get started are it's very, very important to have a good foundation of strength before you jump right into doing a lot of rotational med ball exercises. Make sure you're involved in a strength conditioning program, working on your core stability, working on your lower body strength, working on your rotator cuff, and upper back stability, because those are all things that are going to make your power training more and more productive. Okay, because we don't want to just take a beat up old car and drive it out to the Daytona 500. We want to make sure it's in pristine shape before we throw it into these aggressive rotational demands. So what Tim's going to show you first is the rotational scoop toss, and there are going to be a couple cues that we use with Tim. The first thing is we want all that rotation to come through his hips. Okay, we don't want him to just crank on his lower back. Instead, it's an aggressive hip rotation, and then his upper back rotates. So really, the two cues that I like to give guys are, one, on that back leg, you'll notice Tim just went through a little bit of a swivel. Okay, what you'll see is we call it squishing the bug. You know, it's a cue that some hitting coaches like to do when they teach hitting, but you'll see that back foot rotate. The other thing you're going to look for is an aggressive rotation on that hip, but his core, I'm actually teaching Tim to really just brace his core nice and tightly and then come right through. What you'll notice about Tim that's actually fantastic, and I wish more athletes were like it, is he's equally proficient on his right and his left side, because Tim will throw a baseball left-handed, but he might swing a golf club right-handed. He might kick a soccer ball with his right foot dominant. So he's a pretty balanced athlete, and that's what you really want to strive for, because baseball is an inherently unbalanced sport. So let's go through a rotational scoop toss. We'll do 8 on each side. Notice Tim's really doing a good job of keeping his weight back and rotating instead of just leaning forward. So he creates a good separation. We'll try the other side now. Okay. Creating a nice good line drive. You notice that back foot really swivels nicely. A couple drops in there because the ball doesn't always come off the wall in a really predictable way. So that's a rotational scoop toss. And we can progress on that. You can do a step back before you do the scoop toss, or you can even do a little step behind and then do the scoop toss. But instead, we're going to actually show you a different variation of rotational exercise. We're going to show you a shot put. So we'll have Tim face right up. Same exact cues in the lower body and in the core, but we're going to get Tim to get his elbow up a little higher, and we're going to get a little bit more what we call scap loading. So he's going to get his shoulder blade really locked to his rib cage to create a little bit more tension in that upper back and allow him to really follow through. So a little bit more aggressive on the arm side than a rotational scoop toss would be. Okay, so go right to it. This is a fun one too, because you can usually throw the ball significantly harder. Good. Again, you'll notice he keeps his weight back nicely, really rotates through those hips. Good follow through, but still in a good position to catch it. Make sure you're not too close to the wall, because sometimes that can make it difficult to really do it in kind of a rhythmic fashion like Tim's going through. So again, big cues: rotate through the hips, brace the core tightly, rotate through the upper back. 2, make sure that you have a good foundation of strength in your lower body, your core, your upper back, your rotator cuff before you jump right into this. And 3, probably one that I didn't touch on, is that this isn't something you're going to do a lot during the season, because you're probably already doing a lot of throwing, a lot of hitting, but instead this is a drill that you can really use in the off season, because it's going to be a way to maintain all that flexibility that you need on the baseball field without putting so much stress on your lower back and your arm and all that. So.
Another thing that I like to focus on is being aggressive while throwing the med ball. Because my windup is very aggressive when I throw, I like to emulate that by throwing the med ball with the same aggression that I would when I throw a baseball. So these are some of the things that I like to do during the off season to maintain hip power, my core stability, and flexibility for pitching during the season. Once again, this is Eric Cressy, my off-season strength and conditioning coach, and I'm Tim Collins, and thanks for watching.